Okay, guys, welcome back to a new video here. We got major news coming out of Ukraine and Russia this morning. Absolutely wild stuff. A major Ukrainian operation overnight has resulted in the total destruction of a significant port of the Russian fleet. Absolutely wild. Kind of a Trojan horse style operation here, where a major Ukrainian operation, which has resulted in explosions across numerous air bases all across Russia. Nuclear strategic bombers have been damaged. Estimates are up to 30 to 40% of the entire fleet has been destroyed or at the very minimum damaged. So, at minimum, you're going to see a massive, and I mean massive, Russian retaliation due to these strikes here, as well as several rail bridges have also collapsed overnight in Russia due to Ukrainian drone strikes. And the basically what happened was there's numerous drones in these trucks all throughout Russia, and basically a remote control was able to activate all these drones at the same time, basically coming out of the truck and then heading towards said military bases. And there's some videos here which we're going to show you that are absolutely wild here. So here are just some of the air bases. The Belaya Air Base in Russia has now been hit alongside the Olenia Air Base. One journalist said this is the biggest day of the war. The Russian Air Force being completely wiped out. Absolutely wild. And again, as I said, nuclear strategic bombers have been attacked as well, which is totally key. These are the major military cruisers here that the Russians have in their fleet. And the other thing to note, guys, that's super important about this is the Russians, again, you could see a massive retaliation here, which has not yet been conducted, but you're seeing massive rhetoric coming from the Russian military, and we're still seeing Ukrainian drone operations in Moscow as well as other surrounding areas. And the White House and Trump himself apparently were not aware of this drone strike as well, which is super interesting. And there's been no official statement from the White House yet or Trump himself about this drone attack. So, pretty wild stuff. And the Russians are even calling this or categorizing this attack as the Russian Pearl Harbor, just to give you some sort of idea of how significant this event is in the war. Okay, so this is, again, here's some of the videos here of some of the drones from the drone's point of view, targeting these Russian bases. And again, the air defense systems apparently just were not activated. Explosions, again, absolutely wild footage here, just completely engulfed in flames here. And this is happening all throughout Russia. And again, here's a map of some of where these locations were that were targeted. Again, it goes to show you how significant and widespread these attacks were. Russian bases all across the region here. So it was not limited to one or two military bases near the border of Ukraine. It was throughout the entire country, and it's a massive military attack by Ukraine. And it also goes to show you the Ukrainians are perhaps more advanced and technologically capable than people possibly even thought of. So absolutely devastating strikes here. And the question is, this is a major turning point in the war. What is going to happen next? It's a dangerous escalation by the Ukrainians, but again, at the same time, the Ukrainians are, it's also a fantastic military move, absolutely successful according to all reports here. And as I said, 30% of more of the Russian Air Force's fleet of long-range nuclear-capable strategic bombers were reportedly damaged or destroyed during today's operation by the Ukrainian Security Service, is what Russian bloggers are calling the Russian Pearl Harbor here. So absolutely wild stuff here. And here's some, again, as I said, we're seeing escalating and increasingly dangerous rhetoric coming from the Russians here after this. Dmitry Medvedev, former Russian president, by the way, pretty insane, saying they're playing with fire will end in hell. The attempt to strike a strategic airfield is not just a terrorist attack by the Kiev national regime. It is proof that they have finally lost their fear, reason, and instinct for self-preservation. All of this is not without the participation of the Western bastards. So, of course, you're blaming NATO. There's been other reports that NATO is on full alert here, that the Russians could do something quite rash. They are the ones who supply the freaks in green t-shirts with hardware, coordinates, and illusions of impunity, but it's time to remind them all, Russia has a long memory and very precise hands, so a direct threat to Western countries here. The response will not just be symmetrical, it will be devastating. We know where the decisions are made. So basically, he's threatening the Ukrainian decision makers here, Vladimir Zelensky, and I'm sure you're going to see massive security around Zelensky and other Ukrainian officers in the coming hours, because obviously the Russians are completely bamboozled by this absolutely massive and devastating attack here. And again, during his nightly address to the nation from Kiev, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky praised today's large-scale drone attack against air bases inside Russia by the security services, which has been dubbed Operation Spiderweb. While Zelensky stated that 117 drones were used, striking 34% of the cruise missile carrier. I mean, that is a significant margin, guys. Could you imagine 34% of the entire U.S. military fleet was attacked, or cruise missile carriers? It would be absolutely absolutely completely insane. And obviously, you're going to see a Russian response here that could be potentially devastating. And there's supposed to be talks tomorrow in Istanbul, I believe, between the Russians and the Ukrainians. Who knows if that's even going to take place now after this? Because obviously, this is a massive escalation, and you're going to see a massive Russian military response here. And again, here's kind of an image here of how the attack took place. These drones were inside these trucks. They were activated at the same time, remote control. Apparently, it took a year or even a year and a half to conduct this attack, activated at the same time, which resulted in absolute devastation for the Russian military here. And again, as I said about a potential Russian response, U.S. officials are warning allies that Russia may launch a quote unquote disproportionate retaliation after Ukraine's drone strike. So, again, what does that mean? There's been speculation over nuclear attacks. I don't think we're going to see that, at least not yet, but it's certainly putting us in a dangerous direction here. There's no question about it. And so, just a little bit of a summary and breakdown what we've seen so far. Operation Spiderweb was conducted by the security service of Ukraine and took over 1 year to plan. The drones were placed in cabins loaded onto trucks all across Russia. Today, the ruse opened remotely, allowing the drones to take off and hit nearby air bases. The targets included Tu-95s, which are the large strategic bombers, Tu-22M3s, supersonic long-range bombers, and an A-50, which are basically early warning and control aircraft. And again, multiple air bases all across the country were hit, and explosions were even heard near Moscow as well, guys. So massive, massive escalation, a stunning day, and a stunning strategic victory for the Ukrainians here, which many people probably did not even think it was possible. So a massive potential turning point in this war here, and we could be on the path to even more escalation. This comes at the same time where Iran and Israel are on the brink of going on to all-out war. We're hearing that talks are breaking down between Iran and the United States. So absolutely wild stuff going on here in geopolitics. So let me know what you guys think about this. What will the Russian response be? Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe. It's super good for the algorithm. Hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment. And my Patreon link as well if you want to support the channel. And Amazon links are down below. Absolutely wild stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later.